the music examination. The hosts of the show are Zag, Ness, and Curtis, who will be discussing, debating, and dissecting classic rock and roll. Let the show begin.
Hey guys, how's it going? You know, I guess I'm back because my dealing with trying to make money off the
cassette thing didn't work?
Didn't work as much as I thought it would, so I'm back.
Fell through.
So hey, it happens.
Okay.
You know, so a little bit of mismanagement.
So now you're broke ass.
Yes,
okay, like the rest of us.
Yep, I'm back schlepping it like everybody
we were
else.
cheering for you. We were.
I was going to buy some.
Oh really? Damn.
To help you out.
Yeah, there you go. Let's help Kurt be a millionaire here. Buy some of his wrapped cassettes.
That's two failed businesses. You had the beer business, that idea a long time ago.
Yeah, well that one, yeah.
Whatever happened to that?
I just never really got going on that one.
Okay.
You know,
you don't drink that much beer.
It's just, I was thinking, well, it's just easier to go to the
store and buy it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do that too.
So, yeah.
All right, but anyway.
Well, you got the Kurt Old Annie project.
You do.
Going,
That's up and going.
And yes, and I recently purchased a mandolin too. So I got and another string instrument to the project.
There you go.
So you might hear some undertones of some mandolin.
Maybe you can be in Larkin Poe.
Okay. Wow.
Nah, maybe I'll join Molly Tuttle's band.
Okay, there you go. Well, that's a reach from the past. Yeah. All right, so what are we going to do today?
Today we're actually going to
talk about your failures.
We could go on for hours on that. We don't want to do that.
But these ones,
Kurt O'Danny failures. Go ahead.
But what we're talking about is actually not failures. Where these are ones where Mike or Ness, you found this list of the top 10 selling albums of all, basically up till now.
Yes, and you people did this. You guys made these albums super huge. It wasn't just solely us, and it's not our opinion. You people went out and bought these things by the millions.
Yes.
Now, I thought it'd been a lot easier when I got this list together. I thought, okay, top 10 is going to be top 10. There's not going to be any variations. But in doing this, Billboard had a different chart. Wikipedia a different chart. There's another one, BMG a different chart. Now, I didn't know this until Zag told me why these numbers may fluctuate because of some kind of certification. You want to fill us in on how that works?
Yeah, some of them, they have to pay to recertify their catalogs. And it's not cheap, I guess. So some bands have, some haven't. I even heard Ace Frehley one time talking about it. He hasn't been recertified for years.
Oh, really?
His solo stuff.
Okay.
And he said he just doesn't want to pay for it. Probably doesn't have the money either.
So you could sell 40 million, but if you're not certified and stuff, it doesn't exist.
It just
doesn't get counted in any of these. So what they take is current numbers from the Record Association of America or whatever.
Right.
That's
where
they get
scan disc thing or whatever they got where you scan.
And then the other thing is now they count streaming.
Yes.
As I don't know how they figure that. That you got to really research. But they give credit for streaming numbers along with CD, album, sales, cassettes. People are still putting cassettes out. So physical copies.
Right, but streaming, you don't really buy streaming,
right?
Nah,
but they go by how many streams. That's becoming a big thing. Like, they'll say Bon Jovi hit 30 million streams on a song.
Right.
You know?
Yes. Yeah,
like I was surprised that Kiss's biggest song is "I Was Made for Loving You," numbers wise.
Yes, I heard that.
I never would have guessed that. I thought Rock and Roll All Night by far.
Yes,
it's not. You know,
that's interesting.
And I think it's because I think streaming numbers have helped that.
That's probably where it comes from.
Yeah.
Wasn't Almost Human? That wasn't the biggest one I had?
No, that one didn't. I don't even know if that has a stream yet.
All right.
Oh.
The Oath?
Okay. The Oath.
All right, anyway. All right. So we're going to do what? We're going to go from 10 to 1.
Sure. And this list will pop up. I'm going to have it on one of the pictures that we come up on our thing so people can take a look at it.
So you can follow along.
Yeah, follow along. If you'd like to, you can hit pause and stare at it for a moment and say, okay, now I got the list in my mind. And then
if you have the time, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Sure.
All right, so then rather than have one guy bark them all out, we'll just do like we normally do, is just kind of do a round robin. We'll go from 10 to 1. Who wants to start us off? Kurt? Mike?
Right. Yeah,
I'm in the middle here.
Okay.
You look very professional with that stand there.
I got the stand today.
Yeah, you look like, Anto Dorati there.
You guys are jealous.
I am.
Like Lawrence Welk. It's Lawrence Welk over there.
There you go. A 1 and a 2 and a 3.
All right. This list that we have here, the 10th best-selling album is Saturday Night Fever, basically by the Bee Gees and some other artists that were involved, but big. It was a hit movie.
I think that's what it was. I thought it was more driven by the movie, and people wanted to just be a part of the movie, so they actually kind of just bought the soundtrack.
And it was disco time.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically a disco's greatest hits.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I mean, you've got obviously the Bee Gees songs, but you have On the Elevator, and you get some other songs in there.
Right.
So if you were a disco fan at that time, well, I don't know why you would be. They would be kind of like your discos, K-Tel's greatest hits and stuff. And again, the movie I think really pushed that in the right direction.
And that was probably one of the first, really, if I remember, that was the early version of one of the biggest selling soundtracks from a movie.
Right.
So, I mean, before that, you don't remember too many of them being big sellers like that. So that's the first one that's a hit movie.
I don't know that because, you're right, numbers-wise.
Was Rocky out before that?
Well, there wasn't much of a soundtrack to that.
No.
It was Gonna Fly Now. That was a huge
I'm
hit.
thinking like Breakfast at Tiffany's back in the 60s and stuff.
Right,
stuff like that. Or, but as far as like numbers, I don't know what the numbers are.
Right.
I don't think the numbers were that big back then.
No.
I think this is the number one album, though, of being made fun of, too. There were a lot of jokes about the Bee Gees
the
at
Bee
that
Gees.
time.
That was, it was
Saturday
kind of
Live was doing skits on the high voices.
Well, it was
thing with
the Bee Gees became
ear.
a backlash.
Yeah.
Even Barry Gibb, I remember watching an interview with Barry Gibb. He goes, I don't understand. He goes, we still wrote songs. We helped record songs. We didn't sing them, but we helped other groups do it. And people loved the music, even though it was written by the Bee Gees. The music we were produced by the Bee Gees. And he goes, I don't know. We sang it. They didn't like it when they had the backlash come.
Yeah.
So that was weird.
Well, but I mean, they didn't like it all the way to the bank.
But there was the whole disco, anti-disco movement, too.
Yes.
At the time. So... it sold 40 million copies, so you can't argue. It was popular.
It was interesting because I remember seeing an interview with Alice Cooper, and they were talking about that album. It was one of them back, on MTV back in the 70s or whatever, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know what's going on over there, but I'd like some of that, some of that money."
And on our list, it's the only one to double album too.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, which is still that's a lot harder to push than a single album.
Oh yeah. Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. Me? Okay. Wait. Yeah, I'm going this way.
All right.
Number 9, Rumors, Fleetwood Mac. Okay, Fleetwood Mac. The album before that was, I guess what they call it, the White Album.
Yeah, the Fleetwood Mac.
The one that had actually, Over My Head and Rihanna on it. Yeah.
Landslide
So there was a little bit of a groundswell, but as far as how it really blew up, I couldn't tell you, but I mean, it's a pretty deep album and stuff, and it just stayed on the charts for seemingly ever.
Yeah, I mean, with all the, it was. Obviously the relationships were beginning to falter the first album,
right?
And it just carried over. And then basically what they did is they wrote the songs about all the relationships, the divorces, and the ones that were breaking up and starting new relationships.
Do you think that people weren't buying it just for relationship factor?
No, at the time they weren't really talking about it. It came out later.
I'll tell you, the biggest fall after that was at Tusk. Talk about going from the mountain all the way down to the gutter there. But that's.
But I think it's a good. I like that. I
like it a lot.
I think Rumors.
Finally.
Finally, yes.
You were doing that Fleetwood Mac Eagles thing. He finally admits it.
Yeah. I think it's
that's one of my favorite albums.
Strong album.
Oh, yeah, that's one of my favorite albums. Yeah.
Finally. Okay.
Yes. Oh yeah, big time.
Hi. Who's number 8?
Want to skip that one?
No way.
Well,
man.
we'll just brush it aside.
But
I don't get it. I mean, go ahead and tell him.
Yeah, go ahead and tell him.
Number 8 is "Come On Over" by Shania Twain. I couldn't name a song on the album. I imagine the one that was on the commercial and all that.
You're still the one.
You're still the one.
That don't impress me much. Man, I feel like a woman.
Yep.
Man, that was the one I was thinking.
See, the thing was, I think at that point it wasn't. I think that was when country was starting to finally go into pop.
Yeah, and that was a big
It wasn't
merge.
Barbara Mandrell country anymore, Tammy Wynette. It was kind of getting...
I could see that.
It had a little more guitars to it. And you also talking about the time when Garth Brooks was getting popular. And Garth Brooks was kind of moving away from... Although he had, friends in the high places, low places.
Low places, yeah.
Stuff like that, too. But he was kind of he wasn't Waylon Jennings. He wasn't
No.
Johnny Cash.
Yeah,
So it was the kind of the start of country being more pop, and I guess
Yes.
she just hit a vein.
Oh yeah. I mean,
And the video, she came out in the video age too. People,
Yeah.
she was hard to look at.
And I mean, there's a lot. You do have some fiddle in there and some banjo and stuff, but I mean, Mutt Lange did a really good job of creating that pop country merger, crossing over, and still having that sense of a country song, but being very pop driven, very danceable. Tap your feet type stuff, because a lot of the hits are all, except for the ballads, they're all stuff you could dance to. And
she didn't sing it in a twang
Nope.
way. It was a
No,
little
she-
bit of a hick in there, but it wasn't like really slow.
Right.
It was just kind of upbeat.
Yeah.
And you see, as countries evolved and stuff, I mean, people just made a killing on it, from Faith Hill to Carrie Underwood. They just kind of kept that ball rolling.
Yeah.
They still
in
are
that same
today.
direction. They still are today.
Oh, yeah.
Country's not real country anymore.
No.
It's
There
the
still
same,
are
it's the
real-
same five
there's still
guys with a
real
baseball
country
hat
people.
on and a flannel shirt on. And,
Yep.
Well, there's still people doing it, but
Right.
But the crossover is still going.
Right.
I mean, you got
it's
Taylor Swift isn't really country
not
anymore.
anymore. At the beginning, she was, but yeah.
No.
It's like you get your foot in the door, then you take a big step. But actually, Nashville was beginning to become very popular in the 90s. It was becoming a kind of, a spot for a lot of people to go. There used to be, it was just, they had the country feel. It still does have some of
you
the
just had a
bars,
bunch of guys at
but
Music
you-
Row and stuff that would write
you-
songs like this, the
But
Tin
people
Pan
still-
Alley people in New York would write a bunch of songs of people, and they just, they would go there, get their song, maybe get them. Well, even Jimmy Buffett went down to Nashville when he first started off, see if he can get himself a deal and stuff, or
Yeah.
have somebody write some
yeah.
songs for him and stuff. Yeah, no, that was a pretty popular place to be.
Yep.
Okay, number 7, Kurt.
Ooh.
You know what? Why don't you do 6 and 7 together?
Okay.
Because they're the same thing, but again, explain what it is.
Okay. Number 7 is Eagles Hotel California.
Mm-hmm.
And number 6 is the Eagles' Greatest Hits, which that's kind of interesting. A Greatest Hits album selling that much.
Selling 10 million more than the Hotel California.
Right. Yeah.
And how many albums did they have out before that?
4.
4 albums.
Yep.
Oh, watch
4
out there.
albums. I know. 4 albums. Which is it's interesting because some of the kind of the reason why that they did the Greatest Hits is actually that was when one of the members, Bernie Leadon, one of the 4 originals, was actually he left at that time. And the management wanted to put it out, and the record label was behind it, but the band didn't want to put it out. They wanted to keep moving, keep going. And they said, "Hey, look, we'll just do this." And it was not really forced on them, but it was just kind of like, "Yeah, we're going to put this out." Maybe give them a break because they were touring a lot, but it became a major hit. I mean, if you really look, there's probably not really any Greatest Hits albums that really even came close to something. Usually, Greatest Hits are kind of like at the end of a career. You got a requirement for one more album, stuff like that. And usually put a Greatest Hits out, or when you want to buy some time.
Right.
But it took off big, and it was weird because it was at the beginning. It was in February of '76, and then by December of '76, Hotel California came out.
Yeah, we're close to that.
And that one there, I mean, and if you really think that was kind of a lot of the Hotel California was. A lot of you have Life in the Fast Lane. You have the title track. Life in the Fast Lane was kind of about all the hedonism and the craziness of L.A. and and the having a bunch of money and being in a band, stuff like that, and
There was another band too that right after the biggest album they ever had fell on their face with The Long Run. Although The Long Run sold millions, but The Long Run wasn't. Yeah.
Well, basic reason because of
they
that one.
overthought it.
They were so doped out. They were so strung out from like cocaine and stuff that they went out and they did the Hotel California album. And it was. Well, see what it was is when Bernie left, he was replaced by Joe Walsh. So you have Joe Walsh coming in the band. Everybody else was high on coke and everything else and pills and all that. He just add Joe Walsh to the mix.
The thing is, I mean, that album, Hotel California, that song will live on forever.
Oh yeah,
it's a masterpiece song, and
the opening.
that whole album.
Not
is actually-
Desperado? That's Elaine Venice's favorite song.
No, Which A Woman.
Oh, no, it's
Desperado's
not.
a good song, but Hotel California, I mean, that's one of those songs when you hear it,
Yep.
everybody knows it. You got to
Yes.
sing along to it. You know what I mean? It's
Yep.
it's one of those catchy tunes.
Yeah.
But that whole album, when you look at it, I mean, I'm not the biggest Eagles fan, but I like some of the Eagles stuff. But
Yeah.
that album's a strong album. There's only a couple songs
Victim
on there.
of Love.
Yeah,
It's on
Victim
that
of
one,
Love.
right?
Victim of Love.
Yeah.
I like Try Love Again. I think that's a good tune that you
yeah.
don't hear a lot.
Yep.
And but so I mean, it's deserving. It's a good album.
Yeah.
But it's weird because the album right before the greatest hits in '75 was One of These Nights, and the 3 of the songs off of that were on the greatest hits. It's like, how do you put those songs on the greatest hits when it was just out last year?
Right.
You gotta have a little bit of time for
Yeah,
to find out if
that's
the
never been
song's
kind
gonna
of
be
a thing.
great.
It's like, I mean, their albums are good, but besides the hits that were on the greatest hits on the albums, some of them songs, it's like, it was like Bernie was, when he was in the band, he was big into that country, banjos, playing the fiddle, playing like a mandolin, stuff like that. So his influence was a lot of that, and then when you had Glenn and Don writing songs, they were writing more of the hits.
Right.
So that's kind of where I think that's why that's why that album was so popular, is they just took the big hits off of the 4 albums, and I don't want to say it's a major drop off with the other songs. Some of them are good, but you could see that the styles of music, with some of with the 4 members writing, you could tell who was writing what.
Right.
On there. So that's why that, with, like you say, I think the reason why they came out with that greatest hit so quickly after that, because they had a feeling that, hey, these songs are popular, let's put them on one. And
Was Don Felder on that album? Hotel California?
yeah.
Was that his last album?
No, Don Felder actually came in. He actually came in on the 3rd album, On the Border. He was.
I thought I heard him saying that he wrote part of Hotel California.
Oh yeah, he wrote. He's credited with writing the song.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's credited with writing.
He's pretty much, he can retire on that.
Oh yeah. He was
Yeah, he got a nice
he was
paycheck.
and he was actually he was through from he was on the albums of On the Border, One of These Nights, Hotel California, and he was on The Long Run.
He was on the long run?
Yeah.
Oh,
He was in the band for quite a while, till the point where they even when they did Hell Freezes Over, and when they went back and toured the first time, when they were at the first reunion, he was still part of the group. But he kind of upset Glenn.
I can't keep track on that band.
Oh, it's
Randy Meisner, he was there.
yeah. He bailed halfway through the Hotel California tour. He just got tired of them
had
guys.
so many guys coming and going.
It was kind of like a Kiss thing, where you had Don and Glenn being like Paul and Gene,
Yeah.
and then Randy and Bernie were kind of like just being.
Now, Randy and Bernie, were they the drunks and the drug addicts?
No, I mean they were all drug addicts.
Okay,
but what
all
I'm
right.
saying is Don Henley and Glenn Fry were the dominant ones of the
Right.
band. They were the driving force of it.
Right.
Bernie and Randy actually they were in bands beforehand, because Randy was in Poco and Bernie was in the Flying Burrito
Really?
Brothers.
You really?
He is. He's into this.
Yeah.
This
Did
is,
Dan Fogelberg ever play with the Eagles?
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
he did.
Yes, he did. He hung out with them. That was that whole thing. I think that I have to look back.
Can you
Someone
guys give me a gig?
How come it didn't rub off on him?
Can you guys give me a gig?
He must have not been paying attention.
Actually, they used
Can I
to.
open for you guys?
He probably
Can
did.
I wash your car?
He probably
play
did.
for free.
No, they used to play on each other's albums all the time.
Yeah, they did.
Great. Didn't
They
work
see
out so
backing
well for
vocals.
him, though. He
Yeah.
didn't have any Hotel Californias to sing to.
He certainly did not.
Well, it's close. He was right. He was right there.
He was right there.
Right there.
Almost made it.
Right.
All right. Now we're going to jump up 2 more. Well, yeah, up to
Mike's got the next
The 5th one.
Number 5.
what's number 5?
Halfway home.
Bad out of hell.
Bad out of hell.
Can't figure this out in Meatloaf. They had only, well, even the songs that are supposed to be the hits on there, the driving voices on there, they're not bad.
43 million copies.
I mean, you really took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. Paradise by the Dashboard Light, which was one long, boring song that just kept going on and on and on.
it just doesn't stop.
No,
I actually- I
when you
s-
think
I
it was
seen
stopping
that-
and then it was going on.
Yeah.
It's like then they got Phil Rizzuto in there doing play-by-play. I'm going, what is this?
Well, I actually seen that tour.
Why?
Well, my cousin. I remember my cousin was.
Find more and more out about
Was
this
he
guy
was
every
he was
day,
he
don't you?
said, hey, let's. My cousin. There was I went with a bunch of my cousins. We all went down there.
Sure.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah. It was an interesting
Family
show.
reunion there? Okay.
Huh? It was,
He just had one album.
Me-
though.
at
What did he play for the rest of it?
I thought
played the whole
Meatloaf was
album.
entertaining, but I just didn't get the album.
No.
The big
It's not-
hype
I-
about that.
it's
43
very-
million people bought
it's-
this
yeah.
album.
I don't understand the popularity of it. I mean, probably the 2
And
out
I
of
don't
3 ain't
ever
bad.
remember it being that popular.
I don't know.
I mean, I
Not
remember
to the
hearing the
extent-
songs on the
yeah,
radio a
not to
little
the
little
extent
bit,
of what you're-
but
what
nothing
we're
like.
seeing,
Well,
right.
I mean, it's above the Eagles.
I
And
know.
I would say I had heard way more Eagles played on
Right.
the radio than Bat Out of Hell.
Also know it's some of the other tunes have it's almost like a theatrical. It was recorded like a theatrical rock album.
Kind of like
You got big. Some songs have these big piano
Very
openings.
grandiose.
and-
I get that, but
But yeah, I
it's
don't
just
understand
long
either.
drawn out. It's
Yeah, I don't understand that. I mean,
overkill.
unless a lot of people dug "Paradise by the Dashboard
Well-
Lights" because they're teenagers and they're thinking,
When I
in
was
the car
looking
making
into
out.
this, 1977 was the year everybody lost their damn minds. Because three albums that are on this list were all
Wow.
recorded in 77.
Yep.
This one, Saturday Night Fever, and Fleetwood Mac's Rumors. And then you also had Billy Joel Stranger. That shifted 10 million. You had Jackson's Blood Running on Empty. That shifted 8. Everybody was buying records in 1977.
Yes,
Even Love Gun sold 4 million.
really. All right. 77. That would have been
Love
Rocks. No, I'm saying. was Rocks,
no,
or was
that
it
would have been
77?
before. That would have been right between the Rock and a Hard Place and no.
no. Rock and Hard Place in the 80s.
What came after Rocks?
Draw the line.
Draw the Line
Draw
would
the
have
Line
been
was
76 or 78.
78,
Yeah.
I think. So that
Stones would have been it would be an off year for them because they had
Some Girls was 78.
Yeah, and then before that was Black and Blue, which was 76.
I think Rocks.
Zeppelin was
They didn't
that
have
was
an
the year
album.
before Graffiti, right?
Presence was 76.
Right.
So,
Achilles' Last Stand. Okay. Anyway.
but yeah, I mean, that was interesting. What
Yeah. So yeah,
about Bad Company?
1977 was just a year everybody was out buying
Maybe-
everything.
What about Bad Company? What were they putting out? I don't think. I don't know, but yeah.
Desolation of the Angels was like 78, 79.
Okay, yeah.
Wow.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
But
So
yeah,
yeah,
that's
no, and again, later on it was the Jim Steinman. He's a great songwriter and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
and he did write some nice sappy ballads for Bonnie Tyler and a couple for Celine Dion and stuff. But
Yeah.
like you said, a lot of stuff was just kind of just over the top.
Uh-huh.
Wasn't rock. It was rock opera.
Rock opera.
Rock opera.
Rock
Yeah.
opera type.
Rock opera.
You know,
Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, number 4. Oh, God. Why do I get the good ones?
Because you're the man.
The Bodyguard, Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
45 million copies.
Yeah, that one had what?
The
That
movie
one
was okay if you like sappy movies. I don't get the popularity of the soundtrack.
And it was basically "I Will Always Love You" and "I'm Every Woman." Those were two songs that were written
Yeah.
by somebody and sung by somebody else beforehand.
Yeah, Whitney Houston
Dolly
never wrote
Parton
a
and
song.
Shaka Khan.
Yeah,
So, but unless there was some kind of swell
well,
because
it was
of,
at a hype time of her.
Yeah.
she was.
Her albums were selling, and I think
Yep.
she did the movie type thing. And
But
it
two-
just,
Kevin Costner
two
was in it
singles
too.
can drive that album that far up.
yeah, I guess it
Sometimes,
can.
yeah.
She
I
made
mean,
sure
the-
certifications were up to speed. Eh?
The movie,
Yeah.
the movie was probably it was kind of popular.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, Kevin Costner was in it. It was a
Yeah.
big movie.
Yeah, it was a bit. It was.
But-
it was
And
just one of the
sometimes
box
those
office.
big movies, the soundtracks do
Yeah.
well when those movies are,
Yes.
good in the theater. When they have big numbers in the theater.
Yep.
I mean, we could probably go through a list of bad soundtracks that were actually big sellers too.
Well, I think we touched on that when we were talking about favorite rock and roll movies. American Graffiti. That's a great soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I bought that solely because I saw the movie. I just loved all the songs on there.
Yeah.
Dazed and Confused is a good soundtrack too, but I had most of those songs already anyway, so on
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
albums. But
Yeah.
that was a great soundtrack. If I didn't have those albums and stuff,
How about Grease?
I would've bought that. I've got that.
Yeah, Grease.
I love that.
Grease.
Grease is the
Big
word.
album.
Yeah.
Hope we'll see devoted to you. Yeah.
You better shape up.
Tell me more. Tell me more. Did she
yes.
put up a fight? You got friendly down
There's
in the
one,
sand.
there's one bad song. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Grease is the
Grease
word.
is the word.
No,
Yeah,
no,
Grease is the word.
There's
Yeah,
one
that's
where-
the
I think when they're in the
on
the freeway, that
Look at
stupid
Me, I'm
song.
Sandra D.
something stupid. I don't know. I'd have to
Okay.
revisit the album.
Grease Lightning. Oh, Grease
It
Lightning.
might be Grease Lightning. I'm thinking of. There's a couple.
You know
bad
what? The more we
songs.
talk about it, I like that soundtrack.
No, it was yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm
It
not
was-
knocking it.
I
It was
enjoy
all
it.
right.
I like
It was
that.
all right.
I might
the
go
movie
home,
was
put it by-
good.
you
The
know.
soundtrack was
yeah,
good.
too bad that didn't make the list.
Well, you know, I think I did see how much that did. It's on the list. But while you
outside.
talk about,
It's outside of the.
yeah, it's outside of the thing there.
All right.
Um,
So.
Kurt, you talk about number 3, and I'll find out where.
All right. Well, number 3 is Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon.
All right.
Yeah. Yes. Now we're getting somewhere.
We can actually talk about one here.
Yes. Yes. An acid laced prog album, I guess is what. I mean, it's.
Well,
I mean, it's.
Do you
it's,
think it
it's
was
a
really
little-
acid laced? I thought it was more
mean-
laconic, more kind of laid back, kind of
Yeah.
spacey.
Yeah. I mean, if you.
Acid would be kind of like really, really out there.
Yeah.
I mean, the music was really good. It just.
Oh yeah, no, it's yeah. I mean, all the songs on there. I mean, it's interesting way they record the album. They just every song just blends right into the next one. There's some prelims and things like that.
no, it's
too.
one of those all masterpiece albums.
Yeah, it's just-
that'll never. It'll probably stay in the charts forever. It's been on the charts forever.
pretty much.
As
yeah.
long as
And I
marijuana
mean,
is
you don't even.
legalized,
You
and
don't
stuff,
really.
it'll be
You don't
there.
really have to be a big fan of Pink Floyd.
No.
If you listen to the album, but you got to be in a mood for it. It's not one of those. It's not one of those albums where you're gonna just pop it in and
Right.
listen to it.
Unless
you know
you're
what I mean?
doing edibles.
Yeah. I mean,
You know, you're
it's not like
sitting
it's not
back
like
there.
it's not
I
like,
wouldn't cut the lawn to it,
Yeah, it's not like.
but I might sit in a chair and want to relax and put
Yeah,
some
there you go.
headphones
Sit on
and
your
listen
back
to it.
porch
Yeah,
and
you're
stuff.
not,
Yeah.
you're not gonna be driving in rush hour going. Yeah, let me put some Pink Floyd on.
I'd probably,
Yeah.
I'd
Dark
probably
Side of the
fall
Moon.
asleep. But it's a good, like you said, it just you don't there's no end to it. It just
No,
goes
it
from
just go-
beginning
yeah.
to end, and there's no
Yeah.
pauses. And
What's cool about it now is it's on CD, so you don't have to flip the album over
Right.
anymore.
right,
Yeah,
It's
you
like
know, you're right. So it feels more like a start to finish thing as opposed to,
Yeah.
okay, you get to right in the middle of in the middle of the mood setting, all of a sudden you got to flip the album over.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's a good point there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I mean, I say it's one, and it was weird, like you said, we were talking about what did they put out beforehand? 'Cause
No, something really that had no
I
hits, no nothing, and
Yep.
the name escapes me. But that was actually kind of propelled because the next one was "Wish You Were Here."
Right.
So that actually got him there. But then, yeah, that pushed him further that way. Just
Mm-hmm.
it broke him away from that Sid Barrett had been gone for a while.
Yeah,
right?
he was only on
Right.
the first album.
So
really.
they were probably just struggling to find try to get their own voice.
Yeah.
after
and
Sid.
they on
lost
that
his
one they
mind.
found it. Yeah, on that one they found it.
But yeah, no, the Dark Side
they
of the
hit a home
Moon-
run on this one.
Yeah, they did.
Big
They,
time.
they did. They did.
Oh yeah.
And it really struck a chord with a lot of the people that, sat around, smoked dope and stuff. It was not, not to be funny and stuff, but, stoners kind of dug that.
That was an album where, if you smoked a joint,
Yeah.
it had.
Can you tell us what that felt like, Kurt, smoking a joint?
Yes. It was.
Your mom's listening, right?
Yes. And she
Weed
said-
head.
and weed head. No, it really is that if you partaked in any mind-altering substances, the album appeared one way, and if you listen
Well,
to
then
it
they,
straight,
then they synced it to the Wizard of Oz.
yes,
I tried that. It didn't work for
No,
me.
you can.
Does it work?
Yeah, I got a DVD I bought one time
Okay.
at a record show that
It-
has it. You can watch the
It,
movie.
it
and
doesn't. It doesn't actually
really?
work though.
okay,
again, if you're maybe
Yeah, you're reading stuff
smoking
into
some
it and
dope
stuff, right? Yeah, and you're okay. You're watching that hair grow on your knuckles. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
I see that.
yeah.
I can,
But
I
it
can
sinks
imagine
to it, kind of.
yeah,
that. Okay.
There's another
Right.
one I heard recently. I think it's a Foo Fighters album.
really,
Something. There's another movie.
Well, you could sync that up to Wizard of Oz too.
No, there's
really?
some other movie. Yeah, I heard,
Okay.
I forgot which
Debbie
one.
Does Dallas. Now that'd be interesting to sync that up, eh?
yeah,
Although you wouldn't be really worried about the music.
no,
Okay. All right. My turn.
yes.
Or do you, no, Let's do.
Let's
Let's do
like,
this.
yeah.
This is bad.
Yeah,
It's not my band, but
Well, I mean, it's one of your
them.
favorites.
yeah. It's
Well,
one
it's
of
Your
number
first
two.
concert?
Number 2, it's Back in Black.
Okay. Maybe I should have did that.
That
to be
album,
back.
That album. is a freaking masterpiece.
And tell people where that came from. The album before that led up to Back in Black.
Well, they lost. Bon Scott died.
Yes.
And they did the album before that was Highway to Hell, I believe.
Yes.
And I don't know how much.
That's still a good album too. I really
Which
like
is a
that.
good, yeah, no.
Really
There's
good.
Bon
Yeah.
Scott people, and there's
Yep.
people that hate Brian Johnson. I like them both. I think they both got their,
Oh, yeah, they're both
But I
good.
think the sound changed with Brian
Yeah.
Johnson.
Oh,
It definitely big time.
And
well, Brian was kind of screechy. Brian was more deep.
Yeah.
He had more of a
but
more
they were
fullness to
starting
his
to get
voice.
some momentum off Highway
Right.
to Hell,
Yeah.
and then tragedy
Well,
hits and he dies.
And
you know?
There was more bluesy with Bon Scott as
Yeah.
the lead singer.
Yeah.
And then when
Yeah.
Brian came in is when they.
And then listening to
rocking.
Brian Johnson, and I've heard him in interviews. He thought he wasn't going to make it. He thought, they did this album, and he thought he was out after this. He never saw the success of that album coming.
Oh wow.
And there was that one.
It is kind of surprising because you're literally taking a band that was heading in the right direction, and all of a sudden you throw the brakes on and say, "Okay, we got a new driver behind the wheel. Put him in there."
It was
you
like-
don't know what's going to happen, and like you said,
because
no
you
one
could
saw
have
that.
you could have really alienated all the
Right.
and there are some people that are like that. There's people that say they
Right.
they don't like any of AC/DC after Bon Scott, but the majority of the people went along with it, and then you can't deny. I mean, that album's a great album, and what I liked about it, I remember putting it on and playing pool or something in the basement. There's no breaks in between. There's like a 1 second between every song, and I thought that was the
Yes.
coolest thing. Nobody really did that yet.
Right,
you
it
know?
was- Yeah.
or you'd have
Def Leppard
it's
did a little bit on
span
High and
between
Dry.
the songs there, but
But they just went one song into another, and it just
So
he starts
people-
off
yeah, that
with
is kinda
Back in
cool when that
Black, Strict Me
happens.
All Night Long, and it just doesn't stop.
Okay, that's
it's a
good
great
because
album.
it just keeps the momentum going.
Yeah.
And then people just, all right, well, I'm riding this through. There's no time. I can't even go to the bathroom break. Nope.
Yep.
there you go.
And I mean, nobody knew him.
No.
Brian Johnson.
Now, did you? Obviously, did you have any AC/DC albums prior to that one, or was that your first AC/DC album?
I think I had Highway to Hell,
Okay.
but I didn't have a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, 'cause
but I
that
knew
was-
of them.
Back in Black would have been my first
Yeah,
one.
Back in
But-
Black was my first one. Then
Yeah.
I
I might have had the
dirty-
Thunder Cheap
yeah,
one.
that
Yeah, Dirty
import.
Deeds.
Import.
Yeah.
I think I bought it used or something.
Okay.
But no, I don't have my preference. I guess there's been some. I still like For Those About to Rock too.
Okay.
I thought that was a good follow up album.
Yeah.
But they've had their iffy ones too with Brian Johnson. But
Oh, yeah, there was a few
same with
kind of
Bon
like, yeah.
Scott. I mean, I don't like all the old Bon Scott albums either.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice. That he's
But I mean-
recovered enough. He can still actually tour now instead of having Axl Rose.
It says
singing for
50
him.
million copies. That's nothing to sneeze at. I mean,
No.
Oh no, that's
you know.
Especially when it's really pigeonholed. It's not pop. If
Well,
we
the
look
other-
at this
no,
list,
yes.
this is probably the only
And then
heavy
the other-
metal, considered heavy metal type thing on
Yeah.
here.
I think another thing that helped them, not that they were great videos, was as MTV was coming.
Yeah.
They had some videos for it.
Right.
You know, so that probably helped them a little bit at the time, but the album's still selling. You know, I mean,
Right.
it's not selling 50 million copies from back when it came out.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
but the thing is the the younger gen. That's one of the albums where the younger
Yeah.
generation keeps catching on to it.
Yep. Kind of like Metallica.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Okay. Now we're down to the number one. Dun, 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 dun. There you go. Michael Jackson's Thriller. Now this, and Mike just kind of not stole my thunder, but I think a lot of this, his popularity in this was MTV.
Yeah.
Thriller, Beat It. I mean, it was a good album. Came off of Off the Wall, which is a great album I had prior to that.
Yep, I like that
And
album a
then
lot.
this just came, like Mike was saying about AC/DC, this came in a vacuum when MTV was coming out there and they needed videos to play, and Michael Jackson gave you a bunch of videos, and it gave you like these little short movies.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you
you had
kind
the
of drew you
Thriller.
in.
Yeah, the Thriller.
The Thriller one was a little long, though.
Right.
But I'm saying is that was one of the first ones where they actually had like an opening.
Yeah.
Where they like say, a
And they
short
had
movie.
credits and
It's kind of-
stuff,
Kind of
yeah.
a short movie.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help. Well, it helped a lot when he did the Billie Jean 25th anniversary Motown thing when he
Oh,
did
he
the
did the
moonwalk.
moonwalk on,
You know.
yeah.
And that was done shortly after the album came out.
And then you open up the door, and I know it was one of the reasons why I bought it real quick was the Eddie Van
Van
Halen
Halen,
solo
yep.
and Beat It.
Yep. which I think that helped merge.
Oh hell yeah!
Help.
Oh, that
like,
widened his
yeah,
that
fan
brought in
base.
some people.
Yeah, because you got to figure
David Lee Roth hated it.
Oh yeah, that was weird. It's like.
Well, he was mad because they didn't
get
get paid.
Yeah.
He says, if you're gonna do that, man, at least get paid, man. You know how much he's gonna make on this song? Eddie's like, oh, I don't care. I just, he just asked me and stuff. I went down there, did some licks, and that was it.
I mean, because after that they had
Hopefully
1984.
bought him lunch.
1984 came out, which helped propel.
Right.
Because it was like you say, there was a lot of the rock guys that probably bought that album just so they for the
That's
song.
interesting.
And who else? Who played all the other guitar parts on the album on that song?
On what?
Dan Fogelberg?
Yes.
On what? On Beat It?
Yes.
On Beat It or the album?
I knew Steve Lukather.
Yeah, Steve Lukather was playing
From
guitar.
Toto.
Yeah, he played a lot of guitar.
What do I
on that.
win?
On that album or that song?
Well, I know on that song, but I think it might have been on some of. He was. Yeah,
He was a studio musician, and he was playing
yeah.
around with that. Yeah, there's another guy, Victor Martinez,
Yeah,
too. That was,
he wrote all the. He
you ever
played all
looked
the.
up like some of those guys like Michael Jackson or Whitney Houston or all these people that you ever look up like how many people, some of them you don't know, but when they made these albums, they had like 500 people.
Partaking in the.
Yeah, they'd have like one guy play guitar on one song.
Yep.
Or they'd have three people that are on one song that played guitar. You ever just look at the credits on some of them? It's unreal, man.
No, I've seen that. Well, yeah, there'll be multiples and stuff like
which
that.
is really weird. I just, how did you put those songs together having that many people involved?
They actually make
they
it
were
sound,
all in there at one time.
They actually make it sound cohesive, so
Yeah.
it sounds like it's a band, but
Yes.
instead of like 50 different songs
Well,
by
10
different-
drummers on an
yeah.
album. It's crazy.
Well, that'd be like the Elvin Brothers, right? 10 drummers on an album?
pretty much. Yeah,
That's pretty much on stage, right? They had like 10 drummers.
yeah,
the whole back wall,
the whole
instead of
back
a line
wall
of
is-
amps, it's a line of drummers.
Man, can you imagine 38 Special touring with them?
With the Grateful Dead and the Elvin Brothers?
Yeah.
They had 4 semis just for the drums.
Yes.
The whole stage is drums.
One hotel for all the drummers and
Yes.
and 3 semis.
They have double stack. They have a second level with the other half drummers and stuff like
And
that.
a drum tech's got to be shitting their pants going, what the hell's going on here? Whose symbol is this?
Yes,
I got
yes.
a symbol here. Right on the back of your name so I know where these things go.
Something doesn't sound right. Whose drum is that?
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Well, that was it.
Really?
We went to the top 10 there.
Yeah, hopefully-
So anybody that you thought should have been on there that isn't on
Well, again, I think a lot of it was based on what you said. Is a lot of people don't buy or they don't do their certifications and keep them up. There was a lot of them on here.
I was wondering about
Like there was some
Peter
Madonna
Frampton.
ones that just missed the cut.
There
There
was
was
Frampton's Come Alive.
no, he was pretty farther down there.
Okay.
but there was like Madonna's,
Okay.
and the Beatles, stuff like that just
Beatles?
didn't make the
Beatles?
cut there. But yeah, no, I mean, this is just this is not popularity vote, but this is the masses buying albums.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with what I think. This is every knucklehead out there with
Zeppelin's 4.
yeah, that's what he's.
Also.
But see, that's it. The
Jagged Little Pill.
AC/DC one is probably the hardest rock one on that whole thing.
for sure.
Yeah, which
Dan,
is
Dan Fogelberg's,
something in
Dan
itself.
Fogelberg's Power of Love.
What'd that sell?
Okay, look at the time. It's
17
getting late.
million.
Yeah, look at the time.
It's
it is.
getting late.
Look at the time it is. Wrap this thing up.
Wrap it up.
Like I know someone in Mississippi. Hey, when I get calls from.
What are you getting spam?
Yeah.
Why are you taking spam calls during the podcast?
I'm not taking the call. I'm going to let it ring through. I'm not answering the thing.
Look, just tell the people what they need to hear.
Sign off, would you?
Yeah, how they can get a hold of us.
If you like the list, that's cool. If you thought other bands or albums that should have been on, you can let us know and we'll give them a call. We'll have
We didn't
them
make the list though.
I know we didn't make the list. This was a list that Ness found somewhere. Like you said, there's other ones. All the different lists. I'm sure there's other lists, Rolling Stone or whatever stuff. But we might be coming up with some other lists later on or something.
Well, the Rolling Stones list, that's going to be some popularity. They
Yeah.
don't go by. They
Right.
They're going to think Bob Dylan's one of the top, 10s
That's true.
and stuff
Right.
like that. And
That's
Neil
true.
Young and stuff like that. Not
I am surprised
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses isn't on there.
Guns
for
N'
Appetite.
Roses.
I thought Guns N' Roses.
is, Bruce Springsteen was on here. Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction
Disruption.
was $30 million.
Which
So
Bruce-
that kind of that was right
that's
below
10 million
Was-
below
was-
Right,
was he
that's what I'm
born in the
saying.
USA?
So
was Bruce born in the USA or
yeah,
is it,
Born
was
in the USA was
Yeah.
in here. It
Okay,
was,
that's what. I mean, I think Born in the Run's a lot better album than Born in the USA. You know, but hey, I'll.
okay.
A lot of Born. Bruce was into Born, huh?
Yes.
Born in the USA, Born to Run.
Born to Run. Well, he was born to run, man.
Is there any more? Born.
Yep.
Born to sing the blues.
Nirvana came in at 30.
Okay.
Again, under the Born in the USA came in about around 30. So I mean,
Okay.
there's a lot, right? But then again, so the average greatest
Right.
hits too. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
All right.
wrap this up.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, and hope you enjoyed it. And like I say, if you got a comment or whatever, you can let us know at the Music Examination, or email us at the music examination at gmail.com, or you can make a comment right on our page here, our YouTube page, and that'll be it for the next time.
Yeah, and if you guys are interested too, feel free to reach out to Kurt if you want some unwrapped cassette tapes.
Yes.
He's
No,
more than
they're
willing
still
to
wrapped.
Make a deal. Oh, they're wrapped.
They're still
Okay.
wrapped.
Oh,
Yeah,
there's-
they're still wrapped.
okay,
You
there's-
got them in cold storage? You don't
There
have
you
them in the
go.
garage getting heated
Yeah, I
up.
got them in the proper storage, so the tape won't have any
So
tape
reach
issues.
out for him so
Okay,
you
yeah.
can at least afford
All right.
socks or whatever.
But yeah, so this podcast was recorded and engineered at Fredithson Studio. He's got to come up with a different name.
Yeah, he does.
I don't know. We're gonna have to talk to him. But it was produced by Curtis. You want to be part of the producing group, or do you
No.
want to know?
No.
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 Okay. All right.
good.
Well, that's right. You're Zagapedia. You do all the research.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, and I guess until you hear from us next time.
And you will.
Yes, shortly.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
You can't